Now, many people think that peace is a result of the circumstances that they're in. That if they're in a good job, if they're making plenty of money, if the relationship, if there's no major conflicts in it, if they have a lack of fear, that maybe they're experiencing peace. But it's all something external. In your notes, true peace is not determined by external things. Are we depending on external circumstances? Are we depending on the behavior of other people to determine our peace? If there was anyone in Scripture who shouldn't have peace at all, it would have been King David. Now, King David, he came long before Jesus. In the Old Testament, the Hebrew part of the Bible, it's the story of the nation of Israel, and David was a king. Maybe you've heard the story of David killing Goliath and many of his exploits. And he was in battle after battle after battle, hand-to-hand combat. Surely he had PTSD from all the battles and bloodshed that he saw. Many people have a hard time sleeping at night from the experiences that they go through. This post-traumatic stress, and surely David had seen more than any human should see. He went through all of these things throughout his life, but we find him in a moment of what seems like peace. But there really isn't peace, because his son, named Absalom, is actually stirring an insurrection against his father. His son wants to claim the throne. In those days, you had to continually protect your right to be on the throne. And now Absalom begins to win the heart of the Israelites, the Jewish nation. He begins to win their hearts over. He begins to win the army over. And all that's left to do is put King David to death. Absalom's advisors say, why don't you take 12,000 troops and go chase him down? That should be enough to chase down one man. Absalom said, no, that's not enough at all. And he mobilized the entire army of Israel to go after his father. Imagine that. Imagine that. He's mobilizing the whole army to chase after David, and David is waiting to be attacked. He goes and he finds someone's home who offers to allow him and his few friends to stay with them. And he's awaiting the next morning when surely the armies of Israel will come seeking to destroy his life. And you know what he does? Do you know what David does in that moment? He breaks out his guitar and he writes 3 songs. That's what he does. Like this is what you do in the middle of turmoil. I don't think it was a guitar, but it was a harp of some sort. And he just starts singing, and he starts writing things, and he writes them down. He wrote 3 of the Psalms, Psalms 3, 4, and 5. We're going to read Psalm 3 right now so we can see what was going through David's mind. Keep in mind, there's tens of thousands of soldiers that are camped out there waiting for him. He says in verse 1 of chapter 3, O Lord, I have so many enemies, so many are against me. Does anybody here have any enemies? Okay, a couple of you are honest enough to say you have an enemy. People say, oh, well, I just got all my haters. You don't got haters. Like, you got somebody hit dislike on your YouTube video. That's all you got. Like, oh, I got so many haters, so many people. Like, maybe you have enemies, okay? Maybe you legitimately do have 1 or 2 or 3 enemies. Maybe you're really, unfortunate and you have like 20 real enemies that want you dead, okay? That would be a lot of enemies, and we feel bad for ourselves. David had tens of thousands of enemies with one purpose in mind: to kill him. Like, imagine if an entire country, like say our entire country, mobilized their armed forces to come after you. Just you. Not your family, not your whole town, not your community, just you. They're like, okay, we're going to mobilize everything we have to take out this one person. Like we would be a little bit nervous, I think. Here he says, oh Lord, I have so many enemies, so many are against me. So many are saying, God will never rescue him, but you, O Lord, are a shield around me. So I got a few guys here, they're pretty tough. But you, O Lord, are my shield. You're the one who's going to protect me. You are my glory, the one who holds my head high. I cried out to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy mountain. And I lay down and I slept. Some of us, we can't even sleep now. We can't even sleep with the fear of COVID on the horizon. We can't even sleep because of the state of the world and all the conflict going on. We can't sleep because of the situations that are going on in our kids' lives. We can't sleep at night because of the conflict that's going on in our relationships, in our marriage, in our work. And here, David has literally tens of thousands of people surrounding him at that moment. And he says, I lay down and I slept, and it was a good sleep. I woke up in safety, for the Lord was watching over me. I am not afraid of 10,000 enemies who surround me on every side. What do I have to be afraid of? I mean, there's only literally an entire country trying to kill me right now. What do I have to be afraid of? I am not afraid of 10,000 enemies who surround me on every side. Arise, O Lord, and rescue me, my God. Slap all of my enemies in the face. Shatter the teeth of the wicked. Now, he's getting a little violent now, okay? He says, shatter the teeth of the wicked. Victory comes from you, O Lord. May you bless your people. May you bless your people. See, these are words of peace. In the middle of a difficult time, in the middle of opposition unlike anything you or I will ever face in our lives, he's saying, I'm just going to go sleep right now. I'm just going to go. How is it that he could sleep with tens of thousands of soldiers hunting him down at that very moment? How is it that he could sleep during that? You know, they didn't have security back then like we have now. Like they didn't have, locks like we do. They didn't have, advanced surveillance systems and video cameras. They didn't have sniper rifles and night vision goggles. I mean, they went to sleep at night not knowing if they would wake up in the morning. Imagine being in that situation with tens of thousands of people. We don't know exactly how many. Most likely it's 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people camped around waiting simply to kill him. He was at the mercy of his enemies. Or was he? See, David realized that he was at the mercy of God, not at the mercy of his enemies. See, David realized that he was in God's hands, not the hands of his enemies. It was God who was in control. See, David was not putting his trust in his own strength. He was putting his trust in the strength of God. He's saying, you are my shield. In your notes, you will never have peace if you're trusting in your own abilities. You might be able, you might be strong, but you're never going to have true peace if you're only trusting in your own abilities. David's saying, God, you are my shield. You are my protector. I put my life in your hands. It's an old song I used to sing when I was growing up in church. Maybe you sang it, I don't know. It says, he's got the whole world in his hands. 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 I mean, isn't that some brilliant songwriting right there? I mean, it's one line, you sing it 4 times, okay? He's got the whole world in his hands. We're like, yeah, he's got the whole world. We had hand motions to go along with it and all. It was great. He's got the whole world in his hands. But do we really believe that? Does he really have the whole world in his hands? Or has he lost control? Did he lose control in 2020? No, he has not lost control. The problem is we want things smooth in life. We want things smooth all the time. I hear so many people talking about 2021, and man, the amount of expectation for 2021, it's like, oh, I hope 2021's better. Like, I hope it's going to be a lot better than this year. I hope it's better than 2020. I hope it's smooth. I hope we don't have any more problems. I hope life goes back to normal. But the reality of it is that some of you have grown more in this past year than you've grown in any other year of your life. Some of you have grown closer to God in this past year than any year before. Some of you have grown closer to your family. Some of you have rediscovered things like baking and hiking and toilet paper, lots and lots of it. Some of you have grown more this year because it was difficult. See, in your notes, smooth seas don't make a good sailor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you say, I'm a great sailor. No, smooth seas don't make a great sailor, but rough seas do. In fact, I think it's safe to say that you cannot be a seasoned sailor if you've never weathered a storm before. If you haven't taken your ship through storms, through peril, through danger, then how can you call yourself a seasoned sailor? Maybe you just got lucky Anybody can sail on a nice calm day, but it takes someone with experience, it takes someone with strength to weather the storm, and storms will come. Storms will come.